One more week until the tampering period, which means 9 more days until the start of free agency. Let's talk about some free agents again. What is up, Fin fans and NFL fans? You know, some of you guys might be interested in the tight ends and you know, the offensive linemen of the free agency. Where do you think they're going to land? Who do you think the Dolphins might go for? Who do you think someone else might go for? That is essentially what this video is about. If you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about tight ends and offensive linemen. Now, the reason I'm not talking about tight ends as much is it's not the highest of the need for the Miami Dolphins. So I am going to talk about a few of them that could be good on another team, even could be good to be pairing with. Yes, Miami Dolphins did sign a tight end. We will talk about all of that, and then I'm going to talk about these free agent offensive linemen. That is incredibly important for the Miami Dolphins and a few other teams because it kind of affects what they're going to be doing. But before we jump into that real quick, want to give a huge shout out to Sharif West for being one of my new Patreons. $4 Patreon. Thank you so much, Sharif, for joining. If you guys want to join the Patreon, link is below. Some of the perks of being on the Patreon, you get to be part of the Discord, which I still have to get a few more of you guys in that Discord. You get first dabs, a comment of the day. And so as the tier goes up, you get a little bit more perks. So if you want to join the Patreon, it's linked below. Also, let's do a fact. Today, you're watching this on a Monday, which means you guys get facts. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and weekends are trivia. So the fact for today is in 1971, Paul Warfield caught an 86-yard touchdown pass in a game against the Steelers that is still, entering 2018 season is what it says, the longest pass play in Dolphins history. Let's get into the video and let's talk about some tight ends. Let's talk about some tight ends and let's talk about the top tight ends that are coming out in free agency. Now, like I said, some of you guys might be like, hey, why are you talking about tight ends? The Dolphins signed Michael Roberts. Why would you, we're good. We have Michael Roberts. We have Durham Smythe. We have Gesicki. Why you talk about tight ends? It's because Michael Roberts, yes, the Dolphins signed Michael Roberts, and they brought him in. Is he going to come in and instantly be a starter with Gesicki? Is he instantly going to be, doing his thing like a chicken wing? Some of you guys wait for me to say that. No. He hasn't played in about 2 seasons. He didn't play all of last season because of an injury. The Patriots tried to trade for him from the Lions. That didn't happen because of an injury. And then he tried to sign with the Packers in the 2018 offseason, 2018 to 2019 offseason. And due to injuries, he couldn't sign with the Packers. So, no, I'm not resting on my laurels or morals or horals or borals or whatever you want to call them on tight ends. I'd still like to add one more tight end. Now, there's some top-notch tight ends available in free agency. You got Austin Hooper from the Atlanta Falcons, Hunter Henry, who a lot of people see as one of the top tight ends in free agency. From the Chargers, Eric Ebron. That's another big move from the Colts. Again, he went from the Lions to the Colts. And then a name that a lot of people would talk about, but if I'm the Dolphins, I might, throw a little money at this guy because Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry, and Eric Ebron are probably going to cost a pretty penny. But you got Jacob Hollister from Seattle. He got traded to them, and then their top tight end got hurt. He came in and he kind of did his thing, kind of showed what he can do, and I liked it. I like that move. Now, if you're like, hey, Doug, whoever you want, we'll pay for it. I'm going for Hunter Henry. I like Hunter Henry. I like what he can do. But a lot of these tight ends, I can see them moving around. With the Packers, you have Jimmy Graham, who didn't really produce there. A lot of these teams that go after these types of tight ends are teams that are like on the cusp. Like the Kansas City Chiefs don't need a tight end with Travis Kelce. There's a lot of teams that don't need tight ends. They kind of already kind of set at tight end. So don't be surprised if some of these guys re-sign with their team. And don't be surprised, if they go for one of these tight ends, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, they might go to the Patriots. Patriots have a need at tight end. So, but when it comes to the Dolphins, Jacob Hollister, maybe Hunter Henry are the two that I'd probably target as a Dolphin. Again, I'm not breaking the bank for a tight end, but those are the two I'm going after. Now, that was quick. You're thinking to yourself, wow, video's over? No. If you tell, again, look at the title. We're going to talk offensive linemen. This offensive lineman section is going to be huge. That's why I got the tight end part out of the way, because these offensive linemen, the Miami Dolphins desperately need offensive linemen. For the love of everything holy on this earth, the Dolphins need offensive linemen. So I'm going to talk about some of these offensive linemen. There's about two or three. There's three offensive linemen I like in this free agency section. Let's talk about for the Dolphins. So let's talk about it. Then we're going to talk about Brenda Sheriff. Now, Brenda Sheriff was, when the season came out, there was talks of him not wanting to go back with the Redskins. There was talks about him being one of the top tackles out there. Hey, guards out there. Hey, let the Dolphins can go after him. He has injury problems. I don't think he's played a full season in his past 3 years. But it's also coming out that the Redskins are trying to re-sign him. The Redskins are trying to bring him back in, and they're trying to, they have a new head coach in Ron Rivera who's instilling some new style there. They got the Trent Williams situation too. I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm hearing they're trying to bring in Brandon Sheriff. So, he's kind of off the market. And the fact of his injury history and the fact of him not staying and playing full seasons, it kind of deterred me away from him. At first, initially, when the season started, I would like to go after him. But now, I'm good. I'm not going after Brandon Sheriff. Again, Trent Williams, there's that trade out there. A lot of people are thinking, hey, the Dolphins kicked that one around. Is it possible he can go to Miami? I don't think so unless they are willing to part with him for a fourth. I'd give him our fourth for Trent Williams. But you also have to realize, guys, he's also going to want that fat contract. So not only are you giving up a draft pick, but you're also giving up cap space. I don't know if I'm doing it. I've heard some of you guys on Twitter say, he's good. He could be better than a lot of the tackles coming out. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing that. But let's get back to the free agents. And you got Jack Conklin from the Tennessee Titans, their right tackle. Now, there was that rumor around that, hey, as soon as free agency starts, he's tagged to the Jets. He's going to go with the Jets. And the fact that rumor came out, it's like the tampering period hasn't even started yet. So for that rumor to come out would have severely hurt the Jets and probably have put them in some type of penalty issue. But then it was, obviously dispelled that he's not going to the Jets. He's not going to the Jets. But here's my thing with Jack Conklin. I like Jack Conklin. I would like him to be, a possibility for the Dolphins at right tackle. But he wants around 17 to 20 million a year. It's a lot of money for a right tackle. Am I doing that? There's a lot of good tackles in this draft. If I don't go after Conklin, I might take two tackles in that first round. Now, some guys, who want quarterbacks, who want that split, the flashy, ball moving players, are like two offensive, two tackles in the first. Yeah, man. Get two tackles in this draft. Then you don't gotta pay 17 to 20 million for a right tackle. You pay about $3 million a year because he's still on his rookie contract for about 4 years. So I don't know if I'm moving on Conklin. I can see Conklin going to the Jets. I can see Conklin going to some of these teams that need an offensive lineman. Maybe even the Packers. I don't know if the Patriots are going to be paying for Conklin, if they're going to throw that money out there. But you'll get some teams, Redskins. They'll throw money at players like this, but the Dolphins aren't in that mode anymore. I'm going to make a specific video addressing free agency and what the Dolphins are going to do in free agency. That'll probably come out later this week, around the weekend, because like I said, next Wednesday is the start of free agency, and the next Monday is tampering period. So we got a lot of news, a lot of videos coming out. So I'm going to, give you guys my idea of what the Dolphins are going to do in their plan for free agency. But Conklin, I'm probably going to pass on him. Anthony Costanzo, also another guy, left tackle. He's probably going to return to the Colts. He said he was going to retire. Then he thought about it. And then he said, nah. And then he came out and said he's going to return to the Colts. So that's another one we can move past. But Joe Fuuny, guard from the Patriots, right? He's 27. This is a guy I like. This is a guy I like the Dolphins to potentially bring in, This is a guy that also is connected to Flores. Now, you also have to worry about that he's also connected to the Giants. So the Giants might have to go, might go after Fuuny. He was a third-round pick to the New England Patriots about 3 years ago. In 16 games, Joe Fuuny has 0 penalties and has allowed 1 sack. Now, I talked about this in my live stream on Saturday, where, you look at these stats, and yes, it's indicative of the offensive line, but you also give it some credit to the quarterback, evasive, step up, move, get the ball out quick, but 0 penalties and 1 sack, I'm liking that. How much is that going to cost? I don't know. I don't want to be that type of player, a person to be like, hey, I throw about 5 million, because that's stupid. But if he wants about 10, 11 a year, I'm doing it. I'm going after Joe Thuney. I like him a lot. Then you have Brian Bulaga, left tackle from the Packers. He's 30. I don't know if I'm touching 30. Not saying no. Not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities, but he's 30. And why are the Packers letting him walk? 16 games he played last season. He had 6 penalties and allowed 4 sacks. To allow 4 sacks on Aaron Rodgers being a left tackle, that man's mobile and he can move. So I don't know if Brian Bulaga, if I'm touching him, again, someone's going to sign him, especially an offensive line needy team, maybe, the Panthers. There's a whole talk about the Panthers tanking for Lawrence. It's a whole stupid thing that I might address in another video, the whole tank situation when it comes to the NFL. Let me know below if you guys want me to do that. But when it comes to Brian Bulaga, I'm not touching him for the Dolphins, not only because of the age, but because of I just don't like 6 penalties and 4 sacks given up. Then you have Kelvin Beecham. He was a left tackle for the Jets. Nah, I'm good. 13. He only played 13 games, 9 penalties, 4 sacks. Nah, I'm good. He might be a backup somewhere, or again, like an offensive line needy team that might move him to right tackle, but nah. But the other one that I'm talking about, I told you I had 3. Connor Mcgovern. He's a center from the Denver Broncos. He's only 26. He played all 16 games last year. 0 penalties and 1 sack. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, people? This team is starting to become more disciplined. Under Brian Flores, they're trying to become more disciplined. So you bring in a Joe Thuney. You bring in a Mcgovern. All of a sudden, your guard center situation, you get, like I said in my cut re-sign video, I'd let Albert Wilson go, and I'm letting Kilgore go. All of a sudden, you got your Kilgore replacement in Mcgovern. 0 penalties, 1 sack, and he's only 26. Now, is he going to come cheap? Probably not. But centers don't get paid as much as you would think. So again, I throw about 10, 11 at Thuney, which some of you guys might be like, oh, he's not going to accept that. You never know. And then I'd probably throw about like 8 or 9 at Mcgovern. I'm paying a lot for my offensive line. I don't know if that's too much. I don't know if that's under, but you'll let me know below. I know you guys will let me know. You got Jason Peters. Why am I talking about him? Because he's one of the top offensive linemen that's out there, but the man's 38. No, Dolphins aren't touching him. They make no sense for him to go after him. Where he end up, I don't know. It might take him a hot minute to sign with the team. Maybe one of their left tackles go down. They'll bring him in. But the other guy I want to go after is Graham Glasgow from the Detroit Lions. 27. If you pick it up what I'm putting down, Joe Thuney, 27. Mcgovern, 26. Glasgow, 27. 15 games played last season, so he missed 1 game. He had 3 penalties, which I'm like, come on, man, 3 penalties? 0 sacks. You see what I'm talking about, fellas? All of a sudden, the center of your offensive line is good, is Gucci. Now you just got to get some tackles. Now you might be saying to yourself, hey, what about Jesse Davis? We signed him to a contract. Obviously, Jesse Davis isn't going to not play with that fat contract, of course. So maybe you don't get Glasgow. Maybe you don't go after Thuney. Maybe you go after Glasgow and Mcgovern. They might be cheaper. And then, Jesse Davis back at right guard. And then all of a sudden, you go into the draft. All you need is 2 tackles. That's all you need. You maybe not at the 5, but maybe you move up from 18. You take one of those tackles. And then you take another tackle. In this scenario, if I'm addressing 2 to 3 offensive linemen, and then you're taking Jesse Davis, or maybe they feel comfortable with Jesse Davis at right tackle, and they do what I say, right? Then also you got Jesse Davis at right tackle, you got Glasgow at right guard, you got Mcgovern at center, and you got Joe Thuney at left guard. And then you draft one of these top tackles in the first round. Dolphins offensive line is Gucci. And we're set. That's what I would do at offensive line. That's what I would do in free agency if I'm the Dolphins. I'm going after Thuney, I'm going after McGovern, and I'm going after Glasgow. 26, 27, and 27. And altogether, the 3 of them have played. Only one of them has missed 1 game, and they have had 3 penalties between the 3 of them and only 2 sacks. I'm happy with that. But be sure to comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys think the Dolphins should go after in offensive line and tight end? Do you guys think they should go after tight end? Be sure to comment below and let me get to one of your guys' comments of the day. This comment comes from Grandizer12, and he says to me, I don't get fans who want a wide receiver, either in free agency or the draft. Do they see who is on the team and the depth? It's a want, not a need. The only way to get a wide receiver is if one of the projected to go high in the draft falls to the 7th, or a Preston Williams type in undrafted free agent. Otherwise, it's not necessary. Now, I see where he's coming from, because if you look at it, right? You look at the team, you got Devante Parker, you got Albert Wilson, you have Jakeem Grant, you have Preston Williams, and you have Allen Hurns, and you have Isaiah Ford, who is a restricted free agent, but exclusive rights restricted free agent. So the Dolphins can easily get him back. You got 6 potential wide receivers, right? Why on God's green earth would you draft a wide receiver? I'm not, and I made it, and I talked about this in my live stream, I'm not signing a free agent. But why on God's green earth would you draft a wide receiver? It makes no sense. This is my thought process on it, right? For one, depth. You need to have depth, and you need to constantly bring in competition. Can't rest on that. Devante Parker got re-signed. They had a fantastic year last year, but before that, how many times was the man injured? And before that, how many times did he let us down? I'm very happy he had his great year. I hope he continues the great year, but you can't just sit back and say, we're good at wide receiver there. Preston Williams is coming back from a torn ACL. That's not an easy injury to come back. Will he have a giddy up in his step? Will he be slowed down? We don't know, but there's that. Jakeem Grant hasn't played a full season with the Miami Dolphins, and he does struggle in some aspects of the pass game. Albert Wilson is due $10 million this year, and he just started coming back to his full form in the last 5-6 games of the season after a major hip injury. So there's your top 4. And then you have Allen Hurns, who got re-signed, but he also had that huge concussion that knocked him out for a few weeks. Yes, you look at paper and you look at the Dolphins wide receiver core and you're like, they look great. Why are we talking about this? Because of everything I just said. You never know. Look at what the Miami Dolphins did with Jarvis Landry. They did not need to draft a wide receiver in the second round. Jarvis Landry's sitting there. They pulled the trigger on him. If we're sitting there in the second round, right, we already got our running back. We already got our offensive lineman or quarterback, whatever you just desperately needed. And all of a sudden, one of the first round wide receivers, a DK Metcalf situation happens, where all of a sudden you're sitting there in the second round and a first tier wide receiver is sitting there with you. You're going to tell me you're not going to pull the trigger on it to have some depth and have some talent in that position? I can't bypass that. And that's why I think if the Dolphins draft a wide receiver in the second round, heck, even the third round, I'm happy. Because a lot of our wide receivers, yes, they are producing, and yes, they have a lot of promise, but you can't just sit back and bet on promise and bet on these types of things. You got to keep putting players that can produce and will produce. Because if you sit back and just wait, you get a lot of mediocrity, and the Dolphins aren't doing that anymore. So I hope I answered your question, Grandizer. Thank you for commenting. Like I always say, comment below. I love interacting with you guys. If you guys also want to interact with me some more, be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm on there every day, all day, especially when I'm at work, because you guys are watching this right now while I'm at work. Got the premiere chat over here. How you guys doing? Doug, you're sitting there eating or doing something at work while this is playing and chatting with them. But yeah, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Also, I got an Instagram. Be sure to check that out. I'm posting more on there. So if you guys miss a video or you don't know a video's coming out because you didn't hit that bell, I also posted on the Instagram. Not the full video, but just the reminder. Also, check out the Bit Boys. We got a lot planned for that. So, video games, comedy, all that stuff. So be sure to check it out. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Don't feel like you need to. Give this video a thumbs up. We are very, very, very close to free agency. I think if the Dolphins do what I said in the offensive line situation, I think we'd be pretty set, especially if we draft a left tackle. I think the Dolphins would be pretty good. So give a video a thumbs up for that, and because you like what I said and you like the videos. Check out DolphinsTalk.com. Great site I'm associated with. Ton of Dolphin content over there. Be sure to check it out. Hit that subscribe button if you guys want the breaking news. Now, I can't give it to you right away, but if you want the breaking news, I'm going to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be talking about all of the free agent moves on the 18th. So I'm going to be home all day the 18th, giving you videos as soon as they happen. So be sure to hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell and hit all. So as soon as news breaks about who the Dolphins sign, who the Dolphins are interested in, all this stuff in the tampering period, you'll get it. But other than that, I will see you guys if news breaks. Oh, you'll see me sooner, maybe even later today, but I don't know if news will break. But I'll definitely see you Wednesday with my next video. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.